We're good? Good afternoon, everybody. I am Mark Wyatt. I am from the Ministry of Health and the team lead for RPIW number 18, which was looking at optimizing first case setup at the Regina General Hospital. The RGH has 11 operating rooms, typically about 40 cases a day. And what we would hope to see is that when patients arrive for their surgery, they move into the operating room with as little anxiety as possible. We'd hope to see every case start on time so we can make sure that every one of those patients who's slated for their procedure has their case before the end of the day. And we want to see a great, inspired team providing the best care they can in a calm, professional environment. That's not exactly what we saw. We saw operating room nurses who arrived at 7:30 to begin their shift with the expectation that within 15 minutes they would have that operating room ready. All of the supplies picked for the first start of the case, large beds and equipment hauled in. You've got to go see your patient, you've got to get all the instruments laid out. The expectation is unbelievable, and the result is not calm and comforting to that patient. We heard words like hectic, frenzy, chaotic. The one word we used often was a flash mob, as you see all the staff arrive out of nowhere, madly putting this first case together, and our patients sitting in the hallway. That's the other thing we saw, is the porters delivered the patient so that they would be sitting outside the room unattended while all this madness is ensuing around them. So that gave us lots to improve on. The theme for our project is that we would eliminate patient wait time to enter the operating room and eliminate late starts in the OR attributed to operating room setup. And we've got Kaizens that we're going to tell you about related to supplies, equipment, and patient arrival. And I'm going to throw it over to Lana.
Hi, I'm Lana Larson. I'm the sub-team lead for this RPIW. My day job is with the Ministry of Health. So first we got together for some preparation a few weeks ago, and we're looking at background data on late OR case starts for the beginning of the day, and we saw that was typically around 52% of ORs started late. That's the patient being wheeled into the room. So we picked some targets around OR supplies, OR equipment, and that patient arrival time. We then mapped out our current state. We came in at early each day, and we saw at 6:30 the OR attendants were coming in and delivering supplies and equipment to the core of the OR. Then around 7 o'clock, a couple of anesthetic nurses would come in and start preparing the anesthetic carts and hoses. Then at around a quarter after 7 to 7:30 is when the OR nurses would start coming in, and they were scheduled to start at 7:30, but they would come in early to ensure that they had their supplies ready for when that 7:45 time happened. Also at 7:30, the patient would be wheeled into the hallway and left. So we would see that the patient be watching as the nurses were opening their supplies, wheeling equipment around them, sort of in a frenzied type of manner, hoping to have that OR start at 7:45. We then calculated our tack time, which is demand. So typically 10 ORs would be running each day, and starting from that 6:30 until 7:45, we calculated our tack time at 7 minutes and 30 seconds for each room.
Hello, my name is Rajal Dobson. I'm an operating room attendant at Regina General Hospital. We were tasked to freeing up some time for the first case start time for the first surgeries in the morning. Now we started to do this first and foremost by changing the schedule. This shift change is a time change as well as a coverage change. We did this by having the 3 ORAs starting at 6 a.m. instead of 2 at 6:30, being the anesthesiology and core. Starting regular duties for anesthesiology and core earlier give more time to have all supplies put away in the proper homes from SBD from their use for the day before, so nurses knew where these items were to be found as well as that they were actually available. We have a position that we moved from 8 o'clock to 6 a.m., making them available to set up the equipment, example beds, and set up for specific procedures for the first cases of the morning. This info is found in a visual binder, freeing up time for nursing for patient care. Our workroom position, we started 2 hours late, 10 o'clock opposed to 8 o'clock. This leads to more overlapping support for evening shift and helping close rooms and prepare for the next day. For our positioner's new role for our equipment set up for the first case, we developed a list of all the possible equipment needed as well as a checklist for training for implementation. Next is our ORA spaghetti diagram of operating attendant equipment set up for all OR theaters, having all basic rooms set up for the night before. Now, no previous spaghetti diagram is available at this as a new shift change. This role may be refined by training and future RPIWs. And this is a picture of some equipment being moved into a room. This is a larger equipment that we'd actually have to move, and there's a couple of us here making it safer.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Levansky, and I'm the Specialty Coordinator for Orthopaedics and a participant in this team. As you can see, through Orthopaedics, I am one of these people who generally moves this bed, and this is one of our larger pieces of equipment. So just to give you an example of when we come into the room, this is what we would normally have in our room, and the next picture shows of the things that we would have to change to be ready for the next case. So this is all being done in 15 minutes, as well as picking supplies and welcoming the patient. So as orthopedics is very heavily related on equipment, I was on this Kaizen. So this spaghetti diagram shows what a typical circulating nurse, how far they have to walk as to get some of the various equipment that's available, whether it's a bed or a monitor. And the second picture shows post-Kaizen, how far the nurse had to walk. So you can see there was a significant drop in the amount of steps that we needed to take. So one of our ideas was to transfer some of these jobs so that when the nurse comes into the room in the morning, it's already there. So that made a big difference from the nurse's perspective. So it just, if you look at some of the things in our standardizing worksheet, rather than going to all different parts of the OR, gathering the equipment, which we know all takes time, and walking steps, they were able to focus more on just getting the room, maybe moving a couple things around in the room, and focus on nursing duties. So if you see in the picture in the yellow, that focuses on what the equipment was for 2 different circulating nurses, each taking approximately 4.5 minutes pre-Kaizen, and post-Kaizen was reduced to 30 seconds to 1 minute. So this is just a couple of comments from my co-workers in the room as to when they came in the room, their eyes lit up and they said, "This is awesome. This is wonderful. If this is the way it could be every day, it would be great."
I'm Nancy Buckin, and I work in the KOT for Mental Health and Addiction Services, and I was a participant for RPIW number 18. Our mini 5S location was the hallway behind the OR. Normally, we would try to eliminate equipment from the hallway. However, until supplies from the core are relocated and equipment can move to the core, we wanted to optimize the space and keep the walkway clear. Our pre-5S score was 1.8. And our post-5S score was 2.7, and we were able to save 84 square feet in the hallway. This was our pre-5S photo, lots of clutter and unnecessary items, and this was our post. We were doing so well that we extended it around the corner and down the rest of the hallway. So you can see just that the walkway is now clear, and up in the top right-hand corner there, each large piece of item now has a photo behind it with a label, and it's outlined in red. So you know exactly where it goes and what shouldn't be there, and it's quick to identify. These were some of the red tag items removed, some more red tag items, and the only outstanding item is that they do need to develop standard work for maintenance of the hallway, making sure it's clear.
Hello everybody, my name is Stephanie Adolfo and I'm an OR nurse at the General. So our Kaizen team was assigned to tackle supply picking. So at the start of a typical day in an OR theater, a nurse will pick supplies for the first case of the day. Usually it takes 10 minutes to finish getting supplies, even longer for nurses that are new or that are rarely in that service. This results in a frenzied activity, leaving just a few minutes to set up the OR table and make sure all the equipment needed is in the room and in the right spot. This causes stress for the OR staff and result in the patient waiting alone in the hallway because the room is not ready. So this chaotic atmosphere causes anxiety and does not promote confidence in the patient's mind. So our group attempted to resolve this problem by having the sterile processing department pick most of the supplies for the first OR case cart the night before the scheduled surgery. We trialed this for the laparoscopic urology cases. So post-intervention results show a dramatic difference. The time spent by the nurse picking supplies went from 30 minutes and 9 seconds down to 3 minutes and 3 seconds. So that's a 75% reduction in picking time. This frees up more time to focus on the patient and gives the OR staff a more calm start of the day and will definitely lead to fewer errors, if at all, and quality patient care. Thank you.
So good afternoon. My name is Mike Higgins, and I'm a participant in RPIW number 18. And one of the things we decided was to trial picking supplies in the sterile processing department as one means of reducing pick time in the OR and improving the setup process. So this is a picture of the supply cart for a urology case that was prepared by Stephanie and Cheryl, the two OR nurses you've just met, that was used by the SPD staff to pick for the case cart that was going to be delivered to the OR that night before the surgery the following morning. The first trial effort demonstrated in terms of the process that SPD staff were able to pick the supplies in about 17 minutes. Now we noted that on average this took the core nurses about 13 minutes to do the picking. So to improve the process for the sterile processing department staff, we performed a PDSA, which ended up aligning the order of items on the supply cart with the order of items as they appear on the pick list, so they could just pick seamlessly. And this resulted in a significant improvement of allowing them to pick in about 4.5 minutes. So overall, this trial demonstrated success and significant potential gains for patients, staff by optimizing the flow of supplies and improving the setup quality and time.
Hi, I'm Shanda Lamontagne. I'm an RN at the OR at the General, and I'm a participant in this RPIW. So just to follow up on what Mike and Steph have said, it takes a lot of time for nurses to pick a case in the morning. So we tried to think of an alternative because not everything can be picked in SPD. So what's something else we can do? And yesterday we asked the theater staff to pick the next day's first case of the day at the end of their day. So before they leave for the night, they'll pick for the next day. This morning, Cheryl checked the spot we had designated as storage, and all rooms had their first case picked. And as you can imagine, that alleviated the rush in the morning, and it freed up those nurses to spend time with the patients.
Good afternoon. I'm Colleen Sampson, and I'm a part of this team on RPIW 18, the patient arrival part of it. And just to give you a bit of background, since I am the patient, the first 58 years of my life, I was in the hospital twice. Once to have a baby, and oh yeah, when I was 5, I had my tonsils out. So I didn't have much involvement. In the last 5 years, I've been diagnosed with both Crohn's and with congestive heart failure. I've had 3 operations due to the Crohn's and a fancy cardioconverter defibrillator put in. I've had numerous emergency ward visits, probably close to 60 days in the hospital, something that I never would have imagined 5 years ago. So when I saw, and I'm hearing again today, that the patient is the focus and that you're working from that point onwards, it has absolutely thrilled me, because I can tell you I have had those feelings, and I saw those feelings on Tuesday. I relived those feelings on Tuesday morning as we went in and we saw the porters taking the patients into the rooms, which you said, flash mob, chaos, frenzy, you bet. And you know, in your head, you know that everybody's doing their best. In your head, you know that they are working, this is their work. But in your heart, you sure wish that they were paying attention to you, because you are scared, you are uncertain what's going to happen, you wonder if you've been dumped in the right place, because that's sort of what it feels like. And then when we went on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we saw that the porter, because of the things that the other people were working on, the porter took them down at the time. The nurse was there. I think the chart, which not sure that was not on there, but the chart showed an average 10 to 12 minutes. We were down to something like 17 seconds. To see that nurse is just incredible, because there's somebody that's taking care of you personally. They're not doing everything else that has to happen, but you're there. So thank you. It's been a very interesting, very hard week for somebody that's normally retired and does not get up at 5:30 in the morning, let me tell you, but I made it. So thank you again.
Just expanding on what Colleen said, so we were to ensure a calm atmosphere for the patient by limiting the patient wait time in the hallway. Pre-Kaizen, the porters were bringing the patient automatically at 7:30 beginning from day of admission and day surgery, and as we have heard, this creates a situation of unease, and the patient waits in the hallway unattended. So we wanted to move to a system where the OR nurses will call to day of admission and day surgery, thereby pulling the patient to the OR instead of the day surgery and day of admission pushing the patient to the OR. Our results pre-Kaizen showed 100% of patients were waiting 10 to 15 minutes. Day one of our Kaizen was 30% of patients waiting only 17 seconds. Day two was 20% of patients waiting 17 seconds, and this morning when we looked, there was no patients waiting any time. So our team believes that this reduction in unattended wait promotes patient safety and gives the patient a peace of mind at this very stressful time for them.
So we have a few things left on our newspaper, specifically developing standard work, continuing a few trials with shift changes, and communication with other departments to ensure that the changes last. So now to our results. Patient arrival, I think, is our big one. 100% reduction in patients waiting unattended in the hallway. Supplies, we reduced supply picking time by OR nurses and distance they walk by at least 90%. We reduced OR nurse walking time related to equipment movement by 91% also. And we're working toward reducing number of late starts. It only came down from 52 to 50%, but we're hoping to see that the culmination of all the changes that we make sort of contribute in the long run to reducing those late starts.
So just to sum up where we were and where we came to, we've reduced, I think as you've heard, and we'll say it one more time in case you didn't hear it, we've reduced unattended patients waiting in the hallway by 100%. We've significantly reduced the time that OR nurses spend picking supplies, chasing for equipment. We've 5S'd that racetrack, the hallway around the operating room. You saw the impact on clutter and we think safety. We reduced the number of late starts briefly, but there are lots of other factors that result in OR late starts that also need to be tackled. And I think really importantly, we've created a calm atmosphere, calm, safe atmosphere for patients and staff. There are a number of thank yous that need to be offered. First of all, I want to thank all of our team members. The 6 o'clock starting to observe the staff members, that's real. We were up early to get a jump on the day, so they all get a huge Huge credit for the start time. They all get a huge credit. I didn't speak to it at the beginning, but our team picture, we all got to wear those lovely bonnets and lots of neat clothing to keep with the sterile. Lots of thank yous. Mike from JBA, Yin, our KOT support, Nairi, Pam, Colleen, we want a big thank you to you for bringing that passion that we saw all today to our entire week, and lots of assistance that we got from different departments in our RGH, from the OR, day of surgeon, day of admission, SPD, housekeeping, maintenance. Thank you to all of them.